These are the dream cars of our times, made from stuff that hadn't even been discovered just a few years ago and developed by men with dashing, heroic names like Dario, Valentino, and Alan. Each one is V12 powered and capable of things that less than a decade ago would have landed you in a hedge and then in a hospital. They push the boundaries of what we've come to call fast. I would say they're among the fastest cars we'll ever see, but I won't. There will be faster cars one day very soon, remarkable as that might seem. But for now, just enjoy the glorious state of the art.
Cars we drove. Testarossa, Countach, M1. Even the names have enough testosterone to make you forgive the decade that taste forgot. In Europe, king of the hill was the 180-mile-an-hour Ferrari, the 512 TR, the second-generation Testarossa, with its vast air intakes chilling a 5-litre flat 12 engine that seemed to occupy acres of the back of the car, and also the road. Being fastest was, of course, the obsession in the me 1980s, and Lamborghini wasn't lying down. The LP 5000 QV was the final and fastest version of Countach, which started life back in 1974. The BMW M1 and Ferrari GTO, meanwhile, were the fruits of racing projects, though neither really ever got to compete. Sporting regulations were as flighty as fashion in the 1980s.
V8 supercars. Big, loud, basic, Australian. And unless you lead some kind of alternative lifestyle, they only come in two types. A Holden, that's like a Chevrolet or an Opel or a Vauxhall, or a Ford, that's like a Ford. It's a simple choice, steak or prawns, mate. Why make life complicated when the sun is shining and the racing is this good? Australia doesn't export its cars, and its domestic racing series is as unique as Aussie rules. The cars are based on the production body shells of the big Holden, the Commodore, or the big Ford, the Falcon, with roll cages. The engines are 600 brake horsepower V8s that have made the trip from America. Not surprisingly, and just like Aussie rules, it's a sport for real men. Think NASCAR drivers, then dial out the sophistication. But beware, the fans are as tough as the drivers. They're either Holden or Ford. Most of them winners, not one of them what you would expect. The 2012 Audi R18 e-tron Quattro, a four-wheel drive hybrid, is possibly the most complicated car to win Le Mans yet. Peugeot's first diesel, the twin-turbo V12 908, secured victory over Audi at Le Mans on its third attempt. This car, the number 9, was the winner. Lastly, a bit of a throwback, and it's not actually a Le Mans winner. But the Ferrari 333 SP is here because, well, it's a racing Ferrari with a V12.
There are sports cars and there are sports cars. Some of us will be lucky enough to drive a sports car, but only a very few ever get to drive a sports car. A one-off creation designed exclusively to race and to win. The modern sports car is a closed-wheel take on a single-seater, built around the same structures with the same obsessive attention to aerodynamic detail, to braking performance, to squeezing every last fraction of a second from the regulations. The driver is strapped to a cockpit that would notionally fit someone else, but never does. Sometimes the cockpit is open, sometimes it's not. The view outside from inside a helmet, don't forget, is limited. Invariably, the job in hand is to race the car at speeds approaching 190 miles an hour, inches from another car, and often for hours at a time. If you thought sports cars were about top-down cruising in the sunshine, it's time you introduced yourself to some sports cars.
Nothing comes close to a single-seater. Nothing accelerates like one. Nothing brakes like one. Nothing goes around corners like one. Take the Dallara DW12, the one and only car drivers race in the IndyCar Series, America's ultimate single-seater championship, and its jewel in the crown, the Indy 500, the world's fastest and most famous race. The DW in the name is a tribute to Dan Wheldon, a British driver and Indy 500 winner who lost his life racing one of the DW12's fully open-wheeled predecessors. If the Dallara looks unlike any other single-seater you've ever seen, then you'll need to understand its aerodynamics are designed to keep the cars safe and stable on the 230-mile-an-hour plus banked ovals that many of the series races take part on. The only option for teams is the supply of turbocharged 2.2-litre V6 engines from either Chevrolet or Honda.
Grand Prix racing, the pinnacle of automotive technology. A world of impossible speed and mind-boggling forces. A world where engineers with enormous brains devise new and exciting ways to deceive physics and rule-makers, where the difference between success and pitiful failure is measured in millimeters and microseconds. A world of fiendishly complicated machines driven by men with superhuman reactions. But the thing about these superhuman drivers is that they make driving these cars look easy. So easy that while dicing with a dozen other superhuman drivers at 190 miles an hour, they can chat to their team on the radio about, say, what they fancy for dinner. But driving a Grand Prix car, as my colleague Richard Hammond will attest, is not easy. He once said nothing could prepare your mind for the assault. For once, he wasn't talking nonsense.